you have encountered Christ. You cannot go back to your life by the same path. Hi, welcome to Seeking to Remain. My name is Kate. Thanks so much for joining me as we think about the upcoming Sunday Gospel. And Happy New Year! This is the first video of 2024. I had to practice that a few times to make sure I said the right year. Trying to explain the year changing to little people is hard. My 4-year-old did not understand New Year's at all. The concept was completely lost, but he got to stay up till 9 o'clock and he thought that was the best. So, he can't wait for next year to come so he can do it again. I'm like, well, that's a long way away. But time moves fast. If you haven't noticed, time moves very fast. And here we are in 2024. And our first Sunday in 2024 is the Feast of the Epiphany, which is when we remember how the Magi came to Bethlehem following the star, and how they brought Jesus their gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And there's different cultures celebrate Epiphany and St. Nicholas Day and all those feasts differently. In my Bible study group, there is a woman from Puerto Rico. Oh, now I'm pretty sure it's Puerto Rico. And she said for Epiphany, they put out straw for the camels. Just like my kids put out carrot sticks for the reindeer. So I thought that was a really sweet thing to prepare for the wise men coming. So our verse for this week, and my book matches my coat, my sweater. I like this shade of green a lot. So the Magi have come. They visited Herod first, who wants them to return to him to hear about the new king in not such good intentions. And after they bring their gifts, the very last line of our gospel says, and they having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. And I love that line. I think it's such an important line, and it's one that's been talked about by many people up and down the centuries. I am not the first person to think that this line is a really important one. That once you encounter Christ, your life is changed. It has to be changed. Once you encounter Christ, you have to make a decision about who you believe he is. C.S. Lewis talks about this. Our deacon actually talked about this last week. Either Jesus is who he says he is, and he's the Son of God, which, has pretty impactful things that need to happen in your life if you've encountered God. Or Jesus is crazy to think he's the Son of God, or he's a liar and knows he's lying. Those are kind of your three options. And so the Magi, they encounter Christ, and they have to return by a different way. When we encounter Christ, we ought to be changed. We should not be able to return back to the life we were leading before then. And this is something that can happen again and again and again. This isn't a one and done situation. It's not like you meet Christ in another person, in the Eucharist, in the church, in the Bible, and then you go off on this new trajectory and your life is perfect now because you've met Christ. We all know that's not the case. The work of conversion, the work of meeting Christ, and then making a change, and then meeting Christ again, and then making another change is something that happens daily, ought to happen daily, moment by moment in your life. We see this especially in the sacraments, in reconciliation and in the Eucharist. You encounter Christ in the confessional, and you've been absolved of your sins, and you have made promises in that act of contrition to try not to sin again and to avoid near occasions of sin and temptation. Your life should not be the same it should be changing. And then you return to reconciliation again, because we are sinful creatures and we do fall and we struggle. But then we try again and we try again. This happens in the Eucharist also. If you think about it, for the majority of parishes, I shouldn't say all because I have not been to every single parish, every single church. Wouldn't that be a feat if somebody could try and do that? Anyway, you generally process up to the altar in one line to receive communion, your own line. There might be, 2 lines for each side of the church or whatnot, but you all process up in line. You receive Christ, but then you don't turn around and go back the exact same aisle that you were in. You literally go to your seat by a different way. It's convenient for crowd control, but it's also a deeply theological reality. You have encountered Christ. You cannot go back to your life by the same path. Something is different, and that something is Christ. So when you receive Eucharist this week, think about those steps in that journey. How are you going to approach Mass? How are you going to approach Christ? And what change is He calling you to? What new experience? What new prayer? What habit are you supposed to form? What tendency are you supposed to let go of? Again, we are creatures in constant need of these changes, which is why we go to Mass every week. And ideally, confession once a month, every quarter, minimally once a year. It's because we need to continue to encounter Christ. You can't encounter Him once and expect that to be enough. So, as we go forward into this brand new year, I hope that you are excited for all of the things that God has in store for you and all of these moments of encounter that He's waiting for you in, to be excited about those opportunities. May you have a blessed week, and I'll see you next week.